Our lives are laid out on a road of bumps, turns, struggles, and more. How do we respond? How do we endure adversity for learning and growth? I'm Aubrey Johnson, and we'll explore these questions and more on the road to rediscovery. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Road to Rediscovery. I'm your host, Aubrey Johnson. The Road to Rediscovery is about reflecting on life lessons to learn and grow from them, and of course, pay it forward and uplift others who are struggling through dark times. Now, as you know, on The Road to Rediscovery, we are all about delivering quality content that is of value to you and your personal growth. So if you like what you hear and you'd like to support, just please visit roadtorediscovery.com/donate. That's road, the number 2, rediscovery.com/donate. And we'll even give you a shout out in a future episode. And as always, there is no obligation. We are truly, truly grateful for your listenership. My special guest is an executive coach and the founder and CEO of Nectar Consulting. Her company helps entrepreneurs and executives step beyond the edge of their comfort zone to find their voice and tame any feelings of self-doubt. She's a certified rapid transformational therapist, a certified hypnotherapist, among many other credentials. She's also the co-author of the best-selling book, Breakthrough Healing. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome Michele Molitor to the show. Hey, Michele, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Thank you, Aubrey. I'm thrilled to be here. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, likewise. Absolutely. Yeah, we're glad you're here. So let's go ahead and if we can just kind of turn the clock back a little bit. I think I understand that you had a previous career in the high tech industry about 20 years ago. What inspired you to make that career change in the coaching field?
Sure. So, yes, in my previous life, I was a creative director in web development.
Hmm.
I got moved to the San Francisco Bay Area for a hot .com startup. We were going to IPO. I had a golden ticket. I was going to be a millionaire. I thought for
Yeah.
sure,
Uh-huh.
except the market crashed that week
Mm.
instead. No, but we kept going, and I kept hiring people and expanding my team.
Hmm.
And I hired a couple of folks who very quickly made it clear they didn't like working for a woman
Mm.
and told me as much in a variety of different ways. And um, that really started to impact my confidence. And ultimately, I was let go.
Mm.
It created a self-fulfilling prophecy, I think, and I was devastated. I felt crushed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I felt a lot of shame around losing my job. And I really didn't know what to do next. So my uncle was like, "Why don't you get a coach? There's these things called career coaches now." I was like, "Okay, where do I find one?" So
Mhm.
through the magic of the internet, I discovered my first coach. And in the process of being coached, Aubrey, I really discovered my true calling, passion, and purpose. So I quickly went on to become trained and certified as a coach and
Yeah.
started my company, Nectar Consulting, back in 2001. And
Mm.
over the last 20 years, I've worked with, I don't know, probably thousands of people worldwide. Um, and I've constantly been seeking how do how do we become the best version of ourselves? How do we get rid of that junk in our trunk we no longer need, those old
Yeah.
limiting beliefs that
Right.
create self-doubt, that create imposter syndrome?
Hmm.
And about 5 or 6 years ago now, I discovered this really amazing tool called Rapid Transformational Therapy, or RTT.
Hmm.
And in doing the work for myself, it created such a powerful, powerful shift in a very short period of time. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, this is really the next level of mastery for me. So I went on to get trained and certified as a hypnotherapist. And I've incorporated these two modalities together into what I call rapid rewiring. So I'm able to help folks um, move beyond the surface level problems that they say that they do have, and get at that deeper level, at a subconscious level, to identify the root causes of those blocks,
Right.
neutralize them, and then rewire their mind, heart, and spirits with new empowering beliefs so that they can be the very best version of themselves, a better parent, a better mother, father, son, daughter,
Yeah.
leader, whatever it might be, so that they actually get to shine more authentically and speak their truth.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for the clarity and how that works, Michele. Really, really appreciate it. And when it comes to the rapid transformation therapy, I'd love to chat about that in here in a couple minutes. I am What I'd like to do, if we can, is if we can just get to the heart of those those feelings of self-doubt, get to the heart of the uncertainty and the lower confidence, maybe even lower self-esteem in some cases, and just if we can just kind of cover that topic as far as how does that generally start, what does that look like for different people, and then from there talk about the great work that you're doing in the rewiring when you put transformational therapy, transformational uh, 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 therapy together for rewiring. So, excuse me. When it comes to self doubt, okay, um, is self doubt applied to a person as who they are? You know, is it does it define who they are, or is self doubt, does it apply to like an event or a facet of their life? Does that make
So
sense?
So self-doubt is a lack of belief in oneself and one's abilities,
Hmm.
right? And that belief, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I'm not smart enough, I'm not
Yeah.
capable enough, whatever that not enoughness is,
Hmm.
typically starts, it gets planted as a seed, oftentimes when we're children, right?
Yes.
Um, Growing up, the environment that we live in
Hmm.
is the emotional water we're swimming in, so to speak. And if you
Okay.
have individuals, whether it's your parents, your grandparents, your siblings, other adult influences in your life that tell you negative things, oh, who are you? Or don't be so loud, or don't be
Hmm.
a smarty pants, don't
Hmm.
stand out, don't be braggadocious, whatever it might be that
Hmm.
created beliefs, and they dropped into your subconscious. So as a child, we literally don't have the full capacity of our brain yet. It is not fully formed until we're 25 years old.
Hmm.
And so when we hear these messages, well, you're not, who are you? You're not smart enough, right? They go
Yeah,
into our
yeah,
subconscious mind and they sit there, they stick, right? Because
right,
we don't know that it's not true. Well, my
right.
mom or my dad said it, it must be true. And so
Mhm,
then we start believing it. It takes on a life of its own because it gets dropped into our programming, just like
mhm,
programming on your phone, right? And it just starts running you. And so it becomes the way that you move through the world to stay safe, to follow the rules, to color inside the lines until one day you wake up and go, that doesn't really work for me. I don't know if I actually believe that about myself.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but all of those limiting beliefs, they show up as self-doubt in our lives.
okay,
Um, and that can manifest as a lack of confidence, a lack of self-worth, a lack of self-esteem, a lack of self-love,
right,
a lack of self-acceptance. It comes in
mhm,
many forms, and it can impact your day-to-day life in so many different areas. It can impact your work. It can impact how you deal with money, or be with money. It can impact your relationships,
mhm,
um,
mhm,
your success, even your sense of motivation. All of these different
mhm,
things are impacted by your self-doubt. So it is something that is prevalent. We all suffer from levels of self doubt at various points in our lives. So,
right,
identifying it, understanding, listening for that internal conversation that you're having with yourself.
yeah.
And if that internal dialogue is negative more of the time than not, then you need to pause and pay attention to that so you can shift it.
So self-awareness plays a big part, a big role in identifying this self-doubt. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, with someone can have all the confidence and have everything in order, so to speak, say in their family life, in their home life, but when they pull into the parking lot at their job, they can become consumed. And I love the point you brought up earlier, Michelle, how it can affect just about every aspect of your life. Because even though, in say in my scenario I just shared, um, having everything in order and confident about the role of husband and father in the home, and the self doubt and uncertainty you feel in at work, that can trickle into your home life, I would imagine. Is that right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hmm.
And the work that I've done with so many people over the last 20 years,
Hmm.
um, in my research and trying to figure out how to regain my own confidence, because it was kind of shattered, splattered, smothered, and fried all over the floor for quite some time.
Hmm.
Um, as I started to pick up my own pieces and figure out how to put myself back together again, I
Yes.
started to discover these patterns in my clients. And so I've identified 5 self doubt archetypes, Aubrey. There's the procrastinating perfectionist,
Hmm.
there's the fearful follower, the
Hmm. Hmm.
shapeshifter,
Hmm.
the anxious avoider, and the reluctant resistor. And
Mm.
each one of those has a different way of presenting itself. And each one is based on traumas that we've experienced, events in our lives that have made us believe that in order to be safe, we need to act or behave in a certain particular way. So let's take the shapeshifter, for example.
Okay.
A shapeshifter is someone whose self doubt causes them to be the ultimate people pleaser. I will shapeshift and morph myself and be a chameleon to fit into any situation to make everyone else feel okay, even if my own sense of feeling comfortable is completely out the window.
Okay.
But at a young age, shapeshifters typically have grown up with, say, a narcissistic parent or caregiver
Right.
that was oftentimes belittling them or gaslighting them, making themselves believe that they didn't know what they were talking about. That
Mm.
their emotions that they were feeling weren't their feelings. And so, in order to avoid um, that kind of drama that often comes with narcissistic personalities,
Right.
they
Right.
would just be like, okay, whatever you need, I'll do whatever you want. I'll make myself into whatever shape or form you need me to be, so
Yeah.
that we can keep everything even keel, because the drama is way too uncomfortable. So
Hmm.
making myself uncomfortable trying to be other things that I'm not necessarily is
Right.
less uncomfortable. So it creates a different kind of self doubt than, say, the procrastinating perfectionist who always
Ah.
has to have everything perfect.
Right.
Because if
Right.
it's not perfect, I can't put it out there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so all of these beliefs are driven by events that happen to us at an early age, and they just sit there in our subconscious until we identify them and decide to make a conscious change in how we want to move through the world.
Yes. Yes. Oh, wow. The 5 archetypes. And you just shared some clarity on the shapeshifter. Great example. That's a great example. And I imagine these archetypes are, would they be in the book as well?
No, they're not in the
Okay.
book. I actually
Okay.
just released these this year. So
Gotcha.
I'll share with you my self doubt finder quiz. So everyone can go and take the quick quiz. Takes like 3 minutes to take
Hmm.
it, and
Hmm.
you'll identify your predominant self doubt archetype. We all have facets of these within us,
Yeah.
typically.
Uh-huh.
Just like you've probably heard of the love languages,
I
right?
have 5 love languages.
So there are 5 different love languages, and while we have some of all five aspects, there's usually one or two that are predominant ones. It's the same thing for the self-doubt archetypes. There might be
Okay.
one or two that is your leading edge, if you will.
Sure.
So my leading self-doubt archetype that I am continuously acknowledging, hello, thank you for sharing, and move out of the way, is I'm the anxious avoider. Like
Mm.
I'll just do it all by myself,
Yeah. Yeah.
because trying to hand off and delegate to other people on my team, it
Hmm.
just takes too much time. I'll just figure it out. I'll do it myself, right?
Mm. Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
whole point of having a team is delegating to them, right? So I'm constantly like, no,
Right.
hand that off. No, hand that off. Hand that off, right?
Yeah.
And so each one has an impact on us. And the beautiful thing about it is, once you identify what your archetype is,
Hmm.
then you can see how you can start to take your power back from those fears, from that
Mm.
self-doubt, from the anxiety, the overwhelm, the burnout that
Yes.
is triggering that,
Yes.
and come back to a place of center that feels more grounded and more
Yes.
confident.
Very nice. Very nice. And one thing I just want the listeners to be clear on, is, I have to commend you, Michele, because you have actually, this has been your calling from your own personal journey through the self-doubt that you shared earlier, in the workforce, or in the environment that you were in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
always, I learned very quickly, Aubrey, that our greatest source of pain is our greatest source of power, passion,
Hmm.
and purpose, right? When you
Hmm.
can take those painful lessons learned
Yes.
in our
Yeah.
lives and find the wisdom in it, the
Hmm.
wisdom of the wound, and turn it around and give it back as a gift to the world, that's a
Yes.
place of passion and purpose. That's where you light up and are excited to get out of bed every day.
Hmm.
I've been building out an, a new course that I recently launched called How to Become Unshakable. And it's a
Yeah.
7-week online course about overcoming your self doubt
Hmm.
and rewiring your brain for greater confidence. Um, and when I first started it, it was over a year ago. I was like, oh, I got
Yeah.
to create this course on imposter syndrome, and I got it all mapped out, and then I got stuck. My
Hmm.
own imposter syndrome went, "Wow, what are you doing? Who are
Ah,
you?"
yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I was like,
Right.
"Oh, okay, hold on, let me back up a little bit," right?
Uh-huh.
And I
Uh-huh.
had to do some more of my own work, and then just take another layer and another layer, because we're never done evolving, Aubrey, right? I had
Right.
a friend of mine say, "New level, new devil," Michele. I was like, "All right, as soon as you get rid of one layer, there comes another one up to
Yes.
get processed and healed," right? So
Yes.
as I created this course and just got it launched last week, actually, I'm super excited about it.
Oh,
Um,
congratulations.
it's thanks. It's been a journey of identifying my own pains and my own passions and my
Hmm.
core values, and I've poured 20 years of my heart and soul and passion and purpose into this course as another way for people to be able to work with me, because there's only so many hours in the day, right? I can only work
Yes.
with so many
Right.
people one on one.
Yeah.
So it's amazing where our journey takes us, and when we're able to find those pieces of wisdom from the
Yes.
painful events of our lives,
Yes.
then it becomes a much more joyful journey.
100%. The very heart and soul and essence, and message of this show, right? Taking that pain and finding the wisdom, and leveraging it, making it your strength, not just for your own growth, but to contribute to the growth of others, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hugely important. Hugely important. And so, you mentioned the self-doubt quiz that is available for the listeners, I believe, on your website. And for the listeners' benefit, is there also like a free masterclass course or something?
Yes, there
Okay.
is. Thanks for asking. So Take the self-doubt quiz. It's a wonderful, quick little thing,
Hmm.
and then you'll get an invitation to my free masterclass called "Taming Your Self-Doubt," where we talk more specifically about each of the self-doubt archetypes and help you create a plan for how to move forward. It's a really fun masterclass. I'm actually going to be teaching again in about a week and a half on
Hmm.
Monday, the 28th of March, and then again a couple times in April. So it's a free course, a free masterclass, and I'll be sure to give you the link for that so you can share it out in the show notes with everyone.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, we'll definitely make sure and put those in the episode show notes so they can directly access that. One last question I wanted to ask you regarding self-doubt, and then I'd love for us to unpack some rapid rewiring, right? Um, now, I know you work with a lot of executives and people leaders, and I guess one thing that I was thinking about as as I was looking, through your information on a very informative website, by the way, is this thing they call the Great Resignation, right? You've heard about it on the news, and people leaving their jobs and not sure, where they're going, if they're starting their own business or whatever. But um, do you see that having any direct impact on uh, leaders' abilities to manage the people they have or to continue their business? Have you seen any of that fall out as a result of the
Oh
Great
gosh,
Resignation?
yes.
Yeah.
In so many ways, Aubrey, so many ways, because
Hmm.
folks who were working inside of larger organizations,
Right.
there's there's a hiring shortage.
Hmm.
We've
Hmm.
got probably millions of jobs available, and a whole bunch of people have left the workforce and
Yeah.
decided, I don't want to work for the man anymore.
Right.
No
Right.
offense, but I don't want to do that anymore.
Uh-huh.
I was able to, by, the grace of God, to take a step back, and the whole world stopped, and so many people reevaluated their lives, like, what's really important here?
Yeah.
And commuting 4 hours a day is not it, right?
No. No.
And so that has made it harder for the people who are still there, and for leaders who are having to do more with less people on their team. I just had
That's
a,
right.
a call with a client just 2 hours ago
Hmm.
that was experiencing this. And, it creates huge amounts of stress and angst. And companies are still trying to figure out, well, how do they pivot to meet the needs of their customers and their employees? Because you can't expect people to do twice the amount of work doing
No.
the work of two or three people
Yeah.
for a period of time, because you burn everybody out. That's what happened to my client. She
Yeah.
essentially got burned out and made the conscious choice to go, I'm going to walk away from this 15-year career at this company
Mm.
because my values no longer align with their values, and
Right.
I
Right.
can't lead my team the
Yep.
way that I have always led my team because they
Right.
changed the game, right? So many people are now either going into business for themselves
Hmm.
or um, finding new ways, new creative and inventive ways to create their own sustainable lifestyle. It's fascinating. I can't wait to see what, the history books will say about this when we look back on this 10 years from now, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm in total agreement of that, right? I really am, and so I don't know. I just think generationally, as the years and the decades go on, there's going to be a shift. Things like educational institutions and different ways of learning and development and vocation. is going to look different, I think, in the next 10 to 20
Oh,
years.
totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, our I did a decade plus worth of consulting inside of the education world, and
Hmm.
um, teachers are so hardworking and so
They
underpaid and
are.
so underappreciated, and it's
Yes.
not
Yes.
sustainable. You
No.
know, it's so tragic that we put, and no offense to all you football and baseball fans out there, but we
Hmm.
put these pro athletes up on pedestals and pay them millions and millions of
Yes.
dollars,
Yes.
right? And our
Yes.
teachers are having to pay out of their own pockets to provide pencils and
Yes.
paper to these children who are, um, a lot of which are living in less than ideal circumstances.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
we wonder why things have gotten so twisted. The more we can educate our students,
Hmm.
the more self-sufficient they can become, and then go on to build amazing companies,
Yes.
and create amazing careers for themselves. I mean, it's, to me, it seems, it's like so obvious. Like, why? What's the problem here? Why can't we educate our children and provide our teachers with the materials and the funding that they need to thrive, right? Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't get me started, Aubrey. I can go up on
No,
that for for
hey,
days.
Michelle, I can all too well relate. My wife is retired from Cincinnati Public Schools, 23 years
Mm,
as a teacher and an
God bless
assistant
her.
principal. So yeah, she's said the same thing about athletics, and I've seen her take money out of her pocket to get equipment, to get markers, to get uh, construction paper, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, I have a very, very high regard for teachers and the lives that they're impacting in a big way.
Oh,
And yeah, that you can,
they're priceless, and
they are.
we don't treat them with
Yeah.
the honor that they deserve. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, they are not appreciated enough, and they can't be appreciated enough. Yeah, it's not too much for them at all. So, Michelle, I'd like to unpack rapid rewiring. I know you gave a brief description as we opened, but if we can unpack that a little bit and just kind of share with the listeners. Well, first off, I'm curious, what part of this makes it rapid, right? And then the rewiring, I can sort of see or understand it. Maybe a shift in behavior or a shift in belief. Can you unpack that for us?
All of that and so much more, Aubrey. So
Mm,
yes. Um, so coaching, talk therapy, hypnotherapy, they all have their places, and they're
yeah.
all a little different.
Hmm.
And what I found when I became certified as a hypnotherapist is when I combined hypnotherapy with coaching, it supercharged them both.
Mm,
So when you think of the mind, um, 10% of your mind power is your conscious thinking mind, and 90% of your unconscious mind is does all the background work,
hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So by using hypnotherapy as a tool, by taking you into an alpha brainwave state, it's that half awake, half asleep place. You know, when
Yes.
you first wake up from a nap and you're
Hmm.
aware, but you're still really relaxed and you don't really
Yes.
want to move yet.
Yes.
That's where I take my clients. We do it all over Zoom,
Okay.
and in that super relaxed state, it actually gives me access. Like the
Right.
vault door opens to your subconscious mind, which is 90% of your brain programming, if you
Hmm.
will.
Wow.
And we simply have a conversation with your subconscious mind
Hmm.
where lots of events and emotions have been stuffed in dark corners, if you will. So everything that's ever happened to you is cataloged nice and neatly in your brain, in your subconscious, in your unconscious mind. And so
Interesting.
I'm able to ask you, what's at the root cause of this feeling not enough or not
Hmm.
worthy or this self doubt?
Hmm.
And your
Hmm.
mind will bubble up to the surface the events in your life that planted that seed. Now, it might have been an innocuous event where my brother said this to me on the playground, or it might have been a traumatic event, right? That
Yeah.
created a much more deeply felt wound, but they still have the same impact. It doesn't matter if it's a big, hairy, traumatic event or a slight comment in passing, but
Yeah.
it stuck to your brain as a child and it stayed there. And then it kind of took on a life of its own.
Mm.
So I'm able to identify these root causes and then neutralize them, because what we're doing is we're just reviewing that event as if it's on a computer screen, right? We're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
reliving it,
No.
um, but we're just identifying it. So as your adult brain looks at it, goes, oh, yeah, I remember that. I was 6 years old on the playground and I was made fun of. And then I thought I was really ugly after that, right? And
Yeah.
so that belief just sticks in there, but you can look at it and go, oh, I was 6, and those children who made fun of me, they were 6.
Yeah.
And I'm not ugly. I believe in myself
Right.
and I love myself. And so you're able to literally rewire the emotional charge to eliminate the charge around that old belief and reset it, reset your programming around it.
Yes. Yes.
And then, based on everything that I've learned from a client in our intake session, um, I I weave into a customized recording for you while you're still in hypnosis, my transformation recording. And so, using the sound of my voice, Aubrey, I take you into a very relaxed state.
Yes.
And I'm dropping into your subconscious words and phrases based on what you've told me. You
Right.
are
Right.
enough. You are worthy. You're capable. You're
Hmm.
confident. You
Hmm.
believe in yourself. Whatever those words need to be for you and your situation,
Right.
I weave that into a dialogue, and then I take that, I mix in this very relaxing binaural beat music,
Hmm.
and I have you listen to it every night for 30 days.
Okay.
So the repetition of listening to those words over and over at night as you drift off to sleep,
Yeah.
it's just like listening to a song on the radio over and over again. You remember the words from 30 years ago.
Right.
True
Right.
story. I I I made a hot dog today for lunch. And
Okay.
I'm cooking the hot dog and I bust out into the Armor Hot Dog song from 30 years ago. And I'm like, oh, look at that. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
it all
Yeah.
going, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm helping people drop these new ways of thinking about themselves down into their subconscious, right?
That is Michelle.
That's what makes it rapid.
Okay, that makes sense. That is what makes it rapid. Okay. And you know what? I love this. This is absolutely uh just it's it's brilliant. Okay. I mean, one thing you mentioned that I clearly understand is, taking someone and taking their mind and putting them in a certain state, a relaxed state. And like you said, when you have them at that point, look at the things that may be the source of their anxiety or the source of their self doubt or the source of their low self esteem or what have you. Um, it's not like they're reliving it because of the state that they're in. Is that right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
they're just reviewing it. They're recalling it. They
Yeah.
might feel the emotions of it,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't send them down the rabbit hole. It
No.
doesn't
No.
throw them into, oh, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because we're able to bring them out of that
Mm-hmm.
state,
Mm-hmm.
and they're able to see, oh, I can see how that event shaped my belief about myself.
Yes.
And now I'm reshaping, I'm changing my mind about myself. I am enough. I am worthy. I had a story that I was an ugly duckling for a really long time, like into my 30s
Really?
before, yeah,
Wow.
because I was an ugly little girl. I had glasses, I had braces, I looked like a boy, I was a tomboy. And for years and years and years and years, I
Mhm.
I thought I was like, right? And so it took me many years
Yeah.
to finally understand, oh, I'm I'm not ugly. I'm beautiful in my own ways, in whatever
Right.
ways those are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when you can
Mhm.
reset those beliefs, it pops the top off of who you see yourself to be. I
Right.
liken it to you move through the world and these events happen, and
Yes.
they plant these seeds, these self-doubts and these beliefs in your mind, in your subconscious mind.
Hmm.
And you start building walls around yourself to protect you, because it's not safe to do that. It's not safe to go there. It's not safe to show up in this bigger, bolder way. So
Right.
I better protect myself. And so next thing you know, you wake up one day as an adult and you're in this tight, squishy box, and you're like, how do we get out of here? I don't want to be in
Yeah.
this box, but
Yeah.
you don't know how to get out of the box. That's what I help people do. I help them see that they're in a box, and and break down the walls so they no longer are in a box. It's not thinking outside of the box, it's getting rid of the box
Getting rid of the
altogether,
box.
so
Okay.
they can actually show up fully, authentically, for who
Yes.
they are,
Yes.
without all of the beliefs they took on as a kid that 9 times out of 10 other people gave them, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I really appreciate you walking us through that. And like you said, 9 times out of 10, these are beliefs that they didn't tell themselves, but was told to them. And it led them to believe it for themselves, or make that become their reality. Yeah. I mean, words can hurt at times, words can have an impact, a major impact on people, one way or another. And
Oh, they totally
yeah.
do. I
Yeah.
don't know if you're familiar with the work of Dr. Masaru Emoto.
No.
Was a Japanese scientist. He wrote
Okay.
the book, The Hidden Messages of Water. It's
Mm,
fascinating scientific research. What he
really?
did essentially was he put positive and negative intentions,
Hmm.
words,
Hmm.
good words, love, kindness, compassion, gratitude,
Yeah.
or hate, you're ugly, you're a fool,
Yeah.
into water. And then he froze the water and he
Okay.
looked at the crystalline structures that they made.
Yeah.
Because as you know, as a lot of people know, every snowflake that falls is unique,
Yep.
right? So every crystalline structure is unique.
Hmm.
And what he found was that when you put positive intentions into water, they form these beautiful crystalline structures. But
Mm,
when you put negative intentions,
yeah.
negative words, hateful words, even negative music
Yeah.
into water,
Hmm.
it didn't form crystalline structures, or it formed very distorted structures.
Oh,
So if you
wow.
take that principle, that scientific fact, and
Yeah.
go, but wait, my body is made of 70% water. What am I telling myself? And the
Yeah.
water that runs through 50 trillion cells in your body,
Yeah.
what's the impact that negative self-talk is having on your body, on your health, your well-being, your mental well-being? Words matter, my friend.
They sure do. That is an absolutely fascinating, mind-blowing theory. I mean, not more than a theory. It's a fact, a scientific fact,
It,
like you said,
it's a
right?
fact. I have the book here. I'll show you. Let me just
Yeah.
grab it.
Let's have a look at it.
This is the book.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little book, but
Yeah.
it literally has like photographs in here of the different crystalline structures that he
Hmm.
took, and the ones that were, deformed or not. Um, but yeah, it's just mind blowing. I love science. I geek out on it all the time.
I'm
Give me a good
definitely
book
gonna
on
look for that book.
neuroscience, and I'm happy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, science is fun, and there's a lot that we can continually learn from science, and how you took a scientific fact, or and him, and really kind of took that fact and applied it to our bodies, right? 70% water, and then words we're telling ourselves, words that are told to us, there's a ripple effect that it can have in our bodies, and it does, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
No.
you think about um, the
Hmm.
the toxic work environments that so many people are in these days,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the stress, the anxiety, the negativity, the
Hmm.
backstabbing, the
Hmm.
one-upping that's
Yeah.
happening,
Yeah.
and you look at it through this lens,
Hmm.
like, wow, what's the impact of that energy on my well-being, right?
Right. Right.
Because again, here's my little science self. Everything's energy, right? You
Yes, it
boil
is.
everything down, it's all energy, it's all light,
Yes.
and everything vibrates at different frequencies. What
Hmm.
makes it matter, it means it's just more dense, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and so our thoughts are energy, our emotions are energy, our cells in our body are energy, and they're vibrating at these different frequencies. So if you're working in a toxic environment, that just means there's a lot of lower frequency energy vibrating, right?
Sure.
And the
Yeah.
longer you stay in that toxic environment, the more your body starts to resonate and chime in at that lower frequency,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I
And
could
so,
see that. Hmm.
right, so as humans, we have to go, oh, is that really serving me? Or do I need to make some kind of change so that I can feel better? Right. That's
Right.
how we know, like when you walk into a conference room, right? And you can feel the tension in the air or you can feel
Yeah.
the joy in the air, right? It's those
Hmm.
different frequencies that we're feeling and then we're picking up on. And and so for folks who are working in larger organizations, you get to pause and notice that. Where are you working? What's the environment like there? And is it lifting you up? Is it feeding your mind? Is it feeding your expertise, your talents? Or is it
Right.
pulling you down and creating a negative impact on your body?
Right.
Um, I have a dear friend of mine who is a five-time cancer survivor.
Oh, wow.
Five times. Yeah, she's amazing. Um, and she, in her, the first time she got cancer, she was working in a really toxic environment
Yeah. Yeah.
and it didn't work for her and
Hmm.
it impacted her body in a negative way. And she didn't get the message the first time. So she got cancer again
Yeah.
and then again. And so now she's very mindful of what she puts in her body, the
Yes.
the energy of her environment, the people she hangs out with, all of those things matter, um, and impact our bodies. So
Mm.
we're such amazing um, beings, and
Yes.
we don't give ourselves enough credit, I don't think, for how much we're influenced by the people and the things around us.
No, no, that's so true. And like you said, it's all energy, right? Whether it's good or bad, it's all energy. And I don't know, just the element of and the virtue of uh, self-awareness just keeps coming to mind as I'm listening to you here, because this is a thing that we would have to be self-aware on, right? Say our work environment, like you mentioned, is it nurturing me? Is it nourishing my mind? Is it challenging me, or is it pulling me down? So tremendous need for self-awareness there for sure. Yeah. Well, Michelle, one of my last questions I wanted to ask you is, after a client has a major breakthrough and transformation, and I understand, beyond that, it's not like there's a breakthrough or a transformation and all is solved, right? This is a continual work in progress. And that leads me
Yes.
to ask, can you share maybe one or two approaches that these people can take to sustain their newfound way of thinking and operating?
Sure, that's a great question, Aubrey, because it's a practice,
Right.
right? That's why they call it practicing medicine or
Hmm.
practicing meditation.
That's right.
It's a practice because
Hmm.
every time you learn something new about yourself, there's like, oh, this aha, and
Yeah.
then new opportunities for learning come in and enables you to elevate to a new level. So think of it as an upward spiral,
Okay.
right? So we're constantly learning, and the universe gives us an opportunity for learning, right? Good, bad,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
ugly, and then we learn what we need, and then we kind of level up, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we get a new opportunity for learning that looks a lot like the last one, but now we handle it a little differently. We're a little wiser, we're a little smarter, and you
Yes.
make different choices, and so for folks who are on their path to create greater self-awareness, greater understanding, and continue letting go of the junk in their trunk that no longer serves them, um, is to keep practicing,
Right.
right?
That's
It's
right.
not like you're taking a class and then you got the grade, and then you're done, and then, oh,
Right.
look, I'm enlightened. No, it
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
work that way.
No.
Right? It
Yeah.
doesn't work
Yeah.
that way. So I mean, I've been doing this work for 20 years, and
Hmm.
I still learn new things about myself. I still fall down and fall into
Right.
the pit, into the pothole, if you will,
Right. Yeah.
as I'm driving down that road. And
Hmm.
so now I'm a little wiser. I'm like, oh, look, there's a pothole. I think maybe I'll drive around it this time, right?
Right.
I don't I don't have to fall into it to remind myself that there's a pothole there. So
Yeah.
it's about staying awake. It's about staying conscious to yourself every single day and
Hmm.
making those conscious choices of, does this work for me? Does this not work for me? Does this lift me up? Does this bring me down? What is it that I want to choose for myself now and now and now? Because every now moment is
Ah.
different.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I could see every now moment can be different due to the circumstances or the environment that you're in, because all this is ever changing, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Nothing, change is the one real thing that is constant.
that's right,
The
for sure.
universe is always expanding, and so
Yes,
it's going to change, and you can either push against it. No, I don't want to change. Well,
right.
you're going to be forced to change eventually, and it might look
Yes.
like little gradual baby steps,
Hmm.
or it might look like a tectonic shift,
Sure.
right?
Yeah,
You get to
yeah,
choose. I
yeah.
conveniently live just up the street from the Hayward fault line here in California,
Oh,
literally
wow. Yeah.
just up the street.
Oh,
And
my.
so I can look in my backyard, for example, and I have a little retaining wall, and
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
tilted forward by about 8 inches since
Oh,
I've
my.
lived here. But I'd rather
Seriously.
have it be, seriously, yeah, I'd rather have
Yeah.
it be these little tiny incremental, you know, nudges forward than a giant and the whole house
Right.
falls down, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So,
pretty extreme. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So that's the idea here, is to create your own little tiny shifts and micro movements each and every day
Hmm.
versus um, getting, thrown into a wall. So I look back at my career change,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Some might call it a midlife crisis. I called it a spiritual awakening because it was like the universe took me by the shoulders and shook me up and said, no, not this. Look over here. This is far
Yes,
better
yes,
suited to you. I was like,
yes.
oh, oh, okay. And
Uh-huh.
I didn't quite know what I was doing, but I was like, all right, I'm gonna leap into the pool and I'll figure it out as I go. And I've been figuring it out ever since.
The old leap of faith. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
No, that's a beautiful thing, especially, over the years when things start to take shape, take traction, and it turns out to be something that you had no idea what it would be the time you jumped in, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh man, that's
Absolutely.
so awesome. Michelle, how can the listeners connect with you, learn more about you, learn more about your great work, and maybe even pick up a copy of your book?
Sure. So you can always find me at michelemolitor.com, michelemolitor.com. And you can learn all about my work there. You can take the quiz there. You can find my book, Breakthrough Healing, on Amazon. And if you go to the brain candy section in my website, you'll find all sorts of other free and low cost resources and tools for folks to explore, to continually open their mind, and lots of blog articles. So I'm constantly writing and sharing stuff out into the world just to help people.
Fantastic. Wonderful. We're going to make sure we have direct links to the website, to the brain candy section, to the book on Amazon, and some other areas, also including where they can access the self-doubt quiz and the free masterclass.
Yeah.
We'll have direct links to all those in the episode show notes. Michele Molitor, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and just sharing some insights with us. I hope we can stay in touch and bring you back sometime down the line to give the
Absolutely.
listeners
I'd
an
love
update.
that.
Would you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
Always happy to
fantastic.
come and chat.
Oh,
I
well,
hate this stuff. I don't like talking about it at all, Aubrey. Come on.
All right. Okay. Okay. So, Michele, now we come to a segment I like to call Three for the Road. And in Three for the Road, that's where I ask my guests 3 random yet thought-provoking questions, encouraging them to answer in 5 words or less. So, what do you say, Michele? You think you're up for it?
5 words or less. Okay, go.
All right. So these questions are not cookie cutter. They are pertaining to the specialty and the expertise of my guests. And here we are, starting with question number 1 for Three for the Road. Here we go. If there was a food that can magically remove feelings of self-doubt, what would it be?
Salad.
Salad. Fresh,
It's
refreshing,
nutritious and delicious.
cleansing.
It's good for you,
Yes.
and it'll make
Yes.
you smile.
Nourishes. Nourishment can remove doubt. I love it.
Yep.
All right. Question number 2. This should be easy. It's a fill in the blank. The key thing that people learn about themselves in rapid rewiring is
That they are enough.
that they are enough. I love it. Love it. Fantastic. And question number 3, topping us off for Three for the Road, Michele. Not sure how much television you watch, but in the fictitious world of television, Michael Scott happens to be a people leader. If you're familiar with who Michael Scott is. And if you are, what kind of help can he use to remove doubt and become unshakable?
Oh, I would say listen to his people and actually
Yes.
hear them.
Yes. Self-awareness, right? Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
difference between hearing and listening. Two
Yes.
very different things.
Big difference. Yeah, for sure. Oh, great job, Michele. Hey, thanks again for coming on the show. Really, really appreciate you coming on. That wraps it up for Three for the Road. Thanks again, Michele. Again, I hope we get to stay in touch.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Aubrey, for having me on my having me on your show. There we go. It was a delight, really.
Oh, well, thanks. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in and listening. And if you have a loved one who maybe seem to be at the end of their rope, or maybe a friend or colleague that just seem to be down in the dumps and not sure where to turn, they're just going through dark days of despair, I humbly ask that you share this show with them, because on the road to rediscovery, we want our listeners to know 2 things. Number 1, you're not alone. And number 2, there is always hope. The road to rediscovery, it's a movement, a revolution. And guess what? You are now part of it. We're all roadies on this journey of life, and it sure feels good having you on the road with me. Thanks again for listening. We'll chat again soon. We really hope you enjoyed this episode of The Road to Rediscovery. We'd love to hear from you. shoot us an email at roadsrediscoverypodcast@gmail.com and leave us any questions or comments you may have. The Roads Rediscovery is an AJ Shark production.